Welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute, your source of internet marketing inspiration.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Law Firm Marketing Minute. I'm your host, John Henson. And last week we talked about why marketing wasn't just about leads. I think we talked about that last week, or maybe it was a couple of weeks ago. I think anyway, it's a blur. But we've recently talked about how marketing isn't just about generating more leads. It's about, really you can use it to attract the right kinds of clients. On another sort of plane of existence, I guess marketing is also about testing. And it's also a lot about failure. I think a lot of, and I guess, I don't know if it's pride or whatever the case is, but, it's just one thing I don't hear a lot of marketers talking about is just how much they fail. Marketing is really all about trying different things to see what works, especially, content creators coming up with new angles and trying to see what maybe goes viral or what people gravitate towards, what they engage with the most. And a lot of times, and you probably don't see a lot of it, but a lot of times, a lot of things that people try just go by the wayside and they fail. And, failing, I guess maybe in this sense, doesn't have the same sort of negative connotation. It's just something that didn't work. It's honestly, I like the way that Thomas Edison kind of framed it. Say what you will about his politics and some of the personal beliefs that he had, but way he framed it he said something about, like, I don't know what the exact quote is, but I'm paraphrasing, but it's like he didn't fail 1,000 times to invent the light bulb. He just found 1,000 ways to not invent a light bulb, or 1,000 ways that it didn't work, right? And so, there's still that opportunity to learn something along the way, when you try something, even if it doesn't work the way you want it to. But that's also just a big part of marketing. It's funny, marketers, especially, we try to conduct as many surveys as we can. Obviously we have the legal marketing trend survey that we did a big push for last year. That's coming out soon. You probably heard up at the top of the show us asking you as a podcast listener to fill out a brief listener survey. We want to hear from our audience and see what they like, so that we can be better informed about the things that we try, so that our chance of failure is a lot lower. But the overall point of marketing is finding something that works, finding something that people respond to. And a lot of times it's just a big shot in the dark, because you almost don't want your audience to know that they're being marketed to, kind of, in a way. Obviously you want people to feel like they've come to that decision on their own, that you've set yourself up as the expert, as the obvious choice to work with, without making it super obvious that that's what you wanted them to do to begin with, right? People want to feel like they made that decision on their own. I can tell all of you right now who are listening that, you should work with us, and that, you should cut it, but like, I want you to come to that conclusion on your own, right? Because I feel like you run the risk of feeling duped, or, feeling misled if you let us kind of dictate the way that you should go, versus how we're trying to position it as, here's the best way. This is what we've seen. This is what we've seen that works. If you would like us to help you do that, totally, let's do it. Cool, go for it. But ultimately the decision needs to be on you. And that's just a little bit of psychological marketing theory at work there. But, I think for some reason, marketers, at least today, have gotten really prideful in not wanting to reveal all of the things that they do that don't work. And I mean, look, for us, like, we're not ashamed by it. Like, if you're on our email list, if you pay attention, you may not even pay attention to it, honestly, but like, you may see your an email come through at like 3 a.m. Maybe it'll come through at like 6 a.m. Maybe it'll come through at noon. All of that's just us testing things. We're trying new things. We're trying to see which time has a better open rate. And you're probably thinking, 3 a.m., why would that have a higher open rate? We've seen studies that suggest that that might be the case. So let's try it out with our audience and see what happens, And so the the good position that we're in as a company is that we already have a set list of things that we know works, right? We know that having a blog that covers educational, informative content works, right? We know that having a video library where you're answering frequently asked questions that your audience is commonly concerned about works. We know that regularly posting on social media to create those consistent touch points works. We know that sending out a regular email newsletter with that informative content, the blog that you wrote or the videos that you have, we know that that works and drives referrals. From there, we can test and innovate and try to find the next thing that's going to work well. Along the way, we're going to fail a lot. And that's okay because we're also learning along the way what doesn't work, why it didn't work, what could be tweaked the next time around. And so, if you're the type that enjoys that sort of exploration, coming up with different ideas and executing on them, or at least having a team that can execute on them, because I know that those two kind of clash, but it allows you to move the needle and push things forward. And so if you are doing your marketing yourself, don't expect a 100% success rate. Don't even expect 75%, 50%. Like, you are going to absolutely fail more times than not. And that's okay. It's okay to fail, right? You don't have to hit a home run every single time. All it takes is that one thing that really resonates with your audience and, you know, goes really far for your firm. The other thing that to kind of give you some examples, the trends report that we did last year really resonated with a lot of people. We come out with lead magnets all the time. Several years ago, we came out with our anti-SEO report. That was huge, right? In the years between the anti-SEO report and the legal marketing trends report, we came out with a bunch of stuff. We did an ideal client checklist, a content cheat sheet. We did, questions to ask a marketing company before you hire them, questions to ask a web designer before you hired them. And like, those were decent. Like, those got some results, but nowhere near the same results as the anti-SEO report or the legal marketing trends report, right? We've gone to different events. We've sponsored, email blasts with different organizations. And it's all about, what worked really well. What did we learn from it? And, not all of them were successes, and to be perfectly honest, like, even though we've continued to grow as a company, especially since the pandemic started, we have failed more times than we have succeeded. And I would even say, through the 11 years or so that we've been a company, we've done that in general. But yeah, absolutely not afraid to admit that, especially over the last 3 years, that we have failed at more things than we have succeeded at. But the things that we've succeeded at have still continued to fuel our growth as a company. And so the entire point of that is to just reassure you that even if you fail 1, 2, 3, 5, 10, 20 times on different things in your marketing, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are a failure. Now, you do have to have a conversation with yourself at some point. Should you be doing this? Should you kind of turn things over to an expert? But you should absolutely expect to fail with various marketing campaigns as you learn, as you build your systems, as you explore new avenues. And that's okay, because you still are learning something along the way. And so the only thing that I would caution you is, don't completely bleed yourself dry. Give yourself a runway to experiment, but don't put a ton of pressure on yourself, right? You're going to fail. It's okay that you fail. But at the end of your experiment, even if you don't find something that hits, be able to delegate that off and let someone else give it a shot, right? Admittedly, like, we are not a lead generation company. We are a referral company. We know content that drives referrals. That's where our expertise is. We're not cold lead generation experts. We're not, PPC experts. We've tried it. We've tried to build our own Google ads internally, and we have failed. So we've outsource that to have other companies do that for us. And we're learning along the way. We're experimenting with them. And those companies are failing right along with us. And so it's a process, and it's interesting to see how it works. And so, not everybody's going to get it right the first time. And I realize kind of the irony of that, because marketing, you want results fast, but the real truth in the marketing world is that there's going to be a lot of failure that comes with it. But the way to mitigate the negative feelings and the just the expectations that you have is just making sure that you're openly communicating, that everybody's always on the same page with what the ultimate end goal is. And I know that failure sucks and you don't want to do it, but it takes the sting out of it because you're reframing it and setting new expectations along the way. So I hope that was enlightening. I'm sure that's not something that you may have expected to hear from a marketing company or anything like that, but it's the truth. And I think a marketing company that tells you that they don't fail or don't fail that often, they're lying to you, or they don't even realize how much they're failing. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just finding and learning ways that don't necessarily work, but you're still tweaking and building on that from there. And so again, if you're doing that with your own marketing, give yourself some grace and understand that you're not going to hit a home run every time. So thank you all for continuing to listen. Like you heard up at the top of the show, please take that listener survey. We really do want to hear from you, learn more about what you like about the show, what you want to learn more about, what platform you're listening on, and just some other things that will help us make this show better for you in the future. We've got some big plans here to really kind of up our entire content strategy and just really, round out everything that we're doing. And so just go to spotlightbranding.com/pod survey to take that. It's only like 10 questions. It'll take you just a couple of minutes. It's not anything that you got to think long and hard about. It should be pretty simple. And we will select someone for an Amazon gift card. So, really do appreciate you taking the time to fill that survey out and get ready, because I'm going to remind you for every week for the next couple of months, because we're going to keep it open for a while. But other than that, I think that's going to do it. Thank you again so much, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for joining us. Please visit lawfirmmarketingminute.com for more information. We'll see you next time.